piece of advice I've ever heard about side hustles. It came from a millionaire I looked up to as a kid, and the wisdom has stayed with me ever since. I was worrying that I'd never have that one big revolutionary idea that changes everything. His exact words to me were, "You don't need to reinvent success. Just recognize the patterns that are already working and make them your own." From that day forward, I stopped guessing and started studying what truly successful people were doing. This led to my side hustles turning into multi-million-dollar businesses, making me a millionaire, and I owe it all to that simple principle. So you're probably thinking, what side hustles are working for people right now? Well, that's exactly why today I'm going to be sharing 7 real-life examples of young people currently making over $100,000 a year from their side hustles, so you can follow their proven pathways and replicate their success. And yes, I'm bringing back the scrapbook as it's in need of an update. I'm going to be rating each one out of 5 in 3 key areas: how much time it takes to learn, how much money you need, and how difficult it is to make $10,000 per month. Side hustle idea 1 is eBay reselling. This is Kai Towers. His life was going nowhere. His mum died when he was just a kid, and he never knew his father. In his late teens, he was working a dead-end job with no obvious way out. But one day, he'd had enough of feeling like a loser and decided to take control of his life. So he started selling stuff on eBay, and with his newfound motivation, managed to turn $400 into $317,000 within just 1 year. But isn't eBay dead? It's all about Amazon now, right? Wrong. eBay's latest revenue shows it's not dying, it's growing. I mean, in the second quarter of 2025, they brought in $2.7 billion, which is 6% up year on year. I know this might sound strange, as you probably never really hear about eBay. However, when you understand where this growth is coming from, it all starts to make sense. In the early days, eBay and Amazon were neck and neck, both chasing the same mass market audience. But as Amazon scaled into a retail giant powered by logistics and prime delivery, eBay quietly pivoted. Rather than competing on speed and convenience, it began dominating in the niches. I'm talking about collectibles, vintage items, refurbished tech, trading cards, and hard to find products. In these areas, loyal buyers will still choose eBay over Amazon every single time. I know it's a cliche saying, but the riches are in the niches. Kai knows this better than anyone. That's why he was able to make so much money absolutely dominating the gaming accessory niche by selling things like replacement thumbsticks, retro memory cards, and even devices to make you a stronger player. Now for those all-important ratings. Firstly, how much time does eBay reselling take to learn? I'll give this a 1 out of 5, as all you need to do is pick one of the niches I mentioned earlier and dedicate a month of your time to learning how the platform operates. That brings us on to, how much money do you need? I'll give this a 1 out of 5 again, as right now, without even knowing it, you're probably sat on a gold mine. And before you say I'm crazy, let me explain. To be successful on eBay, you need to have stock to sell. But before ordering a load of products from a supplier, a useful strategy that most people overlook is warming their eBay account up by selling unused items from around their house. This has so many benefits, such as allowing you to learn the eBay ropes risk-free, warming up your account with some sales history and positive feedback, and making you some fast money that you can then use to reinvest into better stock. So how easy is it to make $10,000 per month? I'll give this a 2.5 out of 5. As Kai demonstrated, it's completely possible to start by selling unused items from around your house, then use that money as a starting fund to scale up to making over 6 figures. Does that mean it's going to be super easy? Of course not. You'll need to stay on top of your listings, constantly updating them and making sure your prices stay competitive. If at any point you want to give one of these side hustles a try, then I actually got all the people I'm mentioning today to record a video series explaining the exact steps they took to start and scale their side hustles to making over $10,000 a month. And right now, you can access all of them for free. I got them all filmed professionally and made sure they included their exact blueprint, which means each series contains over 3 hours of pure value. I'll drop a link in the description below where for a limited time you can watch them all for free, as well as receive mentoring from me. Side hustle idea 2 is brand deal flipping. This is Suhit Amin. At just 16 years old, he was diagnosed with cancer. But instead of letting his illness stop him, he used the hours he spent in hospital beds to start brand deal flipping. This is essentially when you connect an influencer and a brand and take a cut for yourself. It's what's known as a middleman side hustle. He didn't have any connections when he started. However, now, just 6.5 years later, he generates over $4 million per year working with the big brands like Ubisoft, Netflix, and Acer. He also works with some of the biggest influencers and public figures like the Sidemen, Logan Paul, Stephen Bartlett, RD, and even Mark Tilbury. The crazy thing about all of this is the opportunity is only growing. When Suhit first started, he had to convince big brands that online creators were worth spending money on. He was fighting an uphill battle because nobody really respected influencers. However, now the landscape has completely changed. In May 2025, the New York Times announced that for the first time, Americans watch more streaming content than cable and broadcast TV combined. And guess what the top streaming platform was? Netflix? Amazon Prime? Maybe Disney? No, it was actually YouTube, with a whopping 12.5% of TV viewership, with its closest rival being Netflix at 7.5%. That's why brands are throwing more money than ever at online creators. And if you can be the middleman that negotiates the deals, then you can take a big slice of the profits. But why wouldn't influencers just get the brand deals themselves? Well, I want you to think about the biggest companies in the world. Airbnb doesn't own a single property. Uber doesn't own any cars. Amazon started by just connecting buyers and sellers, and DoorDash helps you order food. They're all middleman businesses, just like brand deal flipping, and they work so well because of convenience. It's really convenient for an influencer to work with someone like you who can handle the deal. So all they have to do is focus on creating great content. Let's get to the ratings. Firstly, how much time does brand deal flipping take to learn? I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5. As a brand deal flipper, your main job is to bridge two worlds: the creators, who are usually younger, and the people running the big brands, who are typically older. The real value lies in managing both sides of that relationship. As long as you understand YouTube, you've already done half the work. If you then take the time to understand how brands operate, you're onto a winner. Secondly, how much money do you need? I'm going to give this a 0 out of 5. Because as Suhit proved, all you need is a laptop and a bit of time to invest into building your connections. He started out by following creators on Instagram and then finding related creators using the suggested feature. He spent hours following this process and reaching out to people, and within his first 6 months made $30,000 in profit. Thirdly, how easy is it to make $10,000 per month? This gets a 2 out of 5. The hardest part is convincing people to work with you. Once you do this, earning $10,000 a month is more than achievable. Think about it this way. Let's say you find one brand who books just 5 influencers through you each month. Each influencer has an average deal value of $7,000, and your margin is 30%. From one brand alone and just 5 influencer partnerships, you have an agency doing $400,000 a year in revenue and netting around $10,000 per month in profit. And these are not unrealistic numbers at all. These are completely possible in the influencer economy that we live in today. Side hustle idea 3 is video editing. This is Tom the Trass. Just a few years ago, he was sitting in his uni bedroom staring at the student debt he was racking up, thinking there has to be a better way to make money. He had no idea where to start, so he grabbed the closest thing to him, his laptop, and decided to learn video editing. That single decision led him to learn a skill far more valuable than his degree. Before he knew it, he'd made his first $100,000 in yearly profit, working with some of the biggest companies and creators on the planet and editing influencer collaborations for brands like Coca-Cola, Nintendo, and Gymshark. He also escaped his small uni room and gained the freedom to travel the world and work from anywhere. There's no reason you can't do this too, as the demand for skilled editors is only growing. In fact, video now makes up 82.5% of all global internet traffic. This means companies need to create video content, otherwise they're invisible. As we speak, they're urgently looking for people who can take their message and turn it into something people actually want to watch. Once you become good, you'll be able to charge a lot, as you'll be directly increasing the company's revenue. But won't video editors just be replaced by AI? Good question. And here's the truth. Yes, AI can cut clips and sync to a beat, but there are 2 main reasons why it will never replace real editors. First, emotion. It can't feel tension, build anticipation, or spot the moment that gives you goosebumps. Second, AI can't innovate. It can only imitate. It studies what's already been done and then copies those patterns. Real editors do the opposite. They don't copy, they create. So yes, AI will be a tool editors use a lot. However, it won't be a suitable replacement. So let's have a look at my ratings. First, how much time does video editing take to learn? I'd give this one a 3 out of 5. Look, video editing isn't something you master overnight, but it's also not something that takes years to learn. Tom mentions in the Wealth Portal that beginners make the big mistake of focusing too much on fancy transitions and crazy effects. But in reality, this isn't what most clients are looking for. His advice is to master the basics first, like how to cut, paste, and add music. Then practice putting together a story. If you can make a viewer feel something or keep them watching until the end, you've already cracked 80% of what makes an editor valuable. Next, how much money do you need? This is definitely a 1 out of 5. Video editing is one of those rare skills where you can start with almost nothing. If you've got a half decent laptop and an internet connection, you're good to go. Of course, you can save up and invest in paid software, a faster laptop, or even better storage, but none of those things are required to start earning. In fact, some of the best editors I know began on laptops that could barely export a 1080p clip. So don't wait until you've got the perfect setup. Start with what you got, learn the craft, and the upgrades will follow the income, not the other way round. Lastly, how easy is it to make $10,000 per month? I'll give this one a 3 out of 5 because here's the honest truth. In the beginning, you'll probably take on smaller jobs like editing TikToks and Reels for smaller creators or businesses, but don't overlook them. These smaller jobs are going to lay the groundwork for your future earnings. They're your ticket to building a strong portfolio, and that's what attracts the higher paying clients. If you take on multiple clients per month, then you'll reach that 10K mark in no time. Side hustle idea 4 is branded dropshipping. This is Jimmy Barlow. Not long ago, he was just like most students, broke, stuck in a neighborhood he wanted to escape, and wondering how he'd ever get rich. He didn't have any money, connections, or experience, just a laptop and some motivation. So he started branded dropshipping and learnt on the go, and that decision changed everything. Now he's regularly pulling in around $40,000 in profit per month. Dropshipping has been around for a while. However, branded dropshipping is where people are making the most money right now. It's much more effective compared with the old approach. Let me explain why. A few years ago, the classic dropshipping model looked like this. Someone visits your store and buys a product for, let's say, $30, and then you jump over to AliExpress, grab the same item for around $10 plus shipping, and have it sent straight to your customer. On paper, that looks like easy money, but it never really plays out that smoothly. To get that sell, you probably spent $5 to $10 on ads, and by the time you deal with refunds, delays, or shipping issues, you're barely scraping a profit. That's the problem with old school dropshipping. It works, but it's fragile. Now, branded dropshipping changes everything. The back end looks similar as you're still selling online, but the way you position the product is completely different. You focus on building trust, designing better websites, and branding a product people actually want to be seen using. Suddenly, that $30 item isn't fighting for pennies, it's an $80 product that people buy because they believe in the brand behind it. Your margins grow, your refund rate drops, and your side hustle starts to feel more sustainable. That's why branded dropshipping isn't just the next step, it's the smarter, more sustainable way to build a side hustle that lasts. Now, for those all-important ratings. Firstly, how much time does branded dropshipping take to learn? I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5. Not because it's hard, but because it takes time. You're not going to be profitable right away, and that's completely fine. This isn't a get-rich-quick play. It's a long-term side hustle that builds steady, predictable income over time. And like anything worth doing, it takes a few months to get it off the ground. Here's what that journey really looks like. Month 1 is all about getting started. I'm talking building your store, testing your ideas, and figuring out how the pieces fit together. You'll have some small wins and a few frustrating losses, but that's part of the process. Month 2 is when things start to click. You've got data, you've learnt what works, and now it's about doubling down on what's actually getting results. Month 3 is where you shift gears into growth. By now, you've likely made your first sales and and maybe even your first 50 to 100 customers. That's your proof of concept. Now it's time to scale your ads, reinvest profits and start thinking bigger. And by around month 6, if you stayed consistent and kept learning, you'll have a store that's generating reliable profit every month. Of course, you'll get there faster with the right proven strategies to follow, and that's exactly what Jimmy runs you through inside the Wealth Portal. Secondly, how much money do you need? I'm going to give this a 1 out of 5 because you can get started almost completely free. The beauty of dropshipping is that you don't actually pay for product until you've made a sale. The only thing to keep in mind is that there can be a short delay while your payment's clear, but that's about as risky as it gets. Thirdly, how easy is it to make $10,000 per month? I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5, as it's much easier than most people think. Let me break it down. $10,000 a month is just $333 a day. Now, imagine you're running a branded dropshipping store where each sale makes you around $25 profit after costs. To hit $333 a day, you'd only need to make around 13 or 14 sales per day. That's not hundreds of customers or a massive audience. That's literally a handful of people finding your store and buying something that solves a real problem for them. Side hustle idea 5 is brand identity. This is Jack Watson. He grew up with no money and after leaving school found himself stuck in an accounting job he hated, watching his life passing by in a soulless office. He knew he needed a plan if he was going to change his circumstances, so he locked himself away for 6 months, researching, reading and watching whatever he could get his hands on. That's when he stumbled across something called brand identity. 6 months later, he went from a negative bank balance to hitting his first 20k month. So what exactly is brand identity? And why is it on the rise? Well, imagine a company comes to you and says, we want people to recognize us instantly, to know who we are and what we stand for just by looking at us. That's where brand identity comes in. It's your job to design the entire look and feel of that business, from the logo and colors to the fonts, images, and overall style that makes it instantly recognizable. And because it directly affects how people see the brand and ultimately how much money the business makes, it's one of the most profitable pathways in the graphic design world right now. The thing is, there are thousands of designers charging $50 for a quick logo or a social media template, but very few people are offering the full package that makes a brand feel professional and trustworthy. That's why the brand identity market has exploded in the last few years and was valued at over $9.5 billion in 2024 and is projected to hit $40 billion by 2032. I mean, even governments are getting in on the action. Check this out. It's the old gov.uk logo, and this is the new one. How much do you think they spent on the redesign? $10,000? $50,000? $100,000? No, more like $650,000 or £500,000. It's shocking, isn't it? But it shows that there's a massive opportunity in this space, especially if you're thinking, I could do that. Now it's time for those ratings. Firstly, how much time does brand identity take to learn? I'd give this a 4 out of 5 because it does take time. It's one of those side hustles where every project teaches you something new, and once it clicks, you can start charging real money for your work. Secondly, how much money do you need? I'm giving this a 1 out of 5. Because as long as you have a laptop, then you really don't need to spend any money getting started. The real investment here is definitely your time and not your money, so it's perfect for students. Thirdly, how easy is it to make $10,000 per month? This gets a 2 out of 5, as it's actually very achievable. I mean, Jack's only been doing this a few years and now charges $10,000 for just one project. But let's say you charge $2,500 for a full brand identity package. You'd only need 4 clients a month or 1 client a week to hit 10K. Side hustle idea 6 is short form strategy. This is Noah Briley. He was just an ordinary student doom scrolling social media until one day, instead of passively consuming, he started studying what makes content blow up. He took note of every hook, every caption, and every transition that made people stop and watch until he found the exact formula that led to virality. Once he cracked the code, he tested it on TikTok and it worked. Soon, he was helping creators, tech companies, and even banks grow their audiences through short form videos. This led to him making over $100,000 before he turned 18 with nothing but his phone. The truth is, short-form content isn't just a trend, it's the future. The average TikTok user opens the app 20 times per day, and TikTok themselves claim users spend an average of 90 minutes a day scrolling. This attention is the new currency. Just think about all the young millionaires you look up to, Mr. Beast, KSI or Jake Paul. They all got rich by leveraging some form of attention, and being a short-form content strategist allows you to tap into this power without being a creator yourself. Your job is simple. Help small businesses, entrepreneurs and coaches grow their brands online. The opportunities are absolutely everywhere. You could work with your local gym, a coffee shop, or even an estate agent who has no idea how to market themselves on social media. Every business needs content and attention, and right now, they'll happily pay someone who knows how to deliver both. So, on to the ratings. Firstly, how much time does short-form content take to learn? I'll give this a 1 out of 5. You can learn the basics in just a few days. The real skill comes from understanding why something works, not just how to make it look good. If you spend even just 1 hour a day analysing and creating, you'll start spotting patterns that most people completely miss. Secondly, how much money do you need? I'm giving this a 1 out of 5, as all you need is your phone, and most of you are probably sat watching this video on one right now. Lastly, how easy is it to make $10,000 per month? This one gets a 3 out of 5, as it really depends on how you charge. Once you get good, I highly recommend charging both a flat fee, which is what you get paid no matter what, and on top, something called a view bonus. This is an agreed upon bonus that you get paid if the video ends up going viral. Most clients will be open to this, as it puts you both on the same page and incentivizes you to work harder to make your videos explode. If you manage to get a few viral videos per month, then $10,000 a month is more than achievable. Side hustle idea 7 is investing. That brings us on to this handsome fella. Oh, it's me. As you know, I started out with nothing and managed to build businesses that made me a millionaire in my 20s. However, what really took me to that next level was investing. My investments currently bring me in more than $17,000 per week in passive income. That's why I truly believe that investing is the one side hustle that everyone should have, no matter what. Because if your money's not working for you, then you'll always be stuck working for it. When people stop me in the street, they always ask me 2 questions. The first is, what's the best time to start investing? My answer is always the same. There's never been a better time to start than right now. Back in my day, you needed brokers, minimum deposits, and hours of research just to buy one stock. But today, you can start with just a few taps on your phone. The second question they ask is, how can I actually start investing? This one isn't as easy to answer on the street. That's why I've uploaded lots of YouTube videos breaking down my strategies. If you want to go even deeper, the Wealth Portal has hours of videos from me about investing money, and I upload new videos every single week. You can even ask me questions directly and get me to rate your investing portfolio. Remember, for a limited time, you can try everything the Wealth Portal has to offer for free by clicking the link in the description. Now, let's look at the ratings. Firstly, how much time does investing take to learn? This has got to be a 4 out of 5. It's simple to get started with something like index funds, but to pick individual stocks, you need to master technical and fundamental analysis, which takes time. Secondly, how much money do you need? I'd say 1 out of 5, because most investing platforms now offer fractional shares that let you begin with $1 or £1. Lastly, how easy is it to make $10,000 per month? I'm going to say 4 out of 5, because it can take many years to achieve this. However, when you do, it's truly passive income, as it doesn't require any extra work. If you want to learn how to invest for beginners, then I'm going to leave that video right up there. But don't click on it just yet. Make sure to subscribe if you want to grow your wealth, okay? I'll see you over there.